guys, welcome back to day 3, session 3 with my client horse. Now stick around because he drags me, he jumps some things, and we have some reactions due to some new, I want to say desensitizing objects, because that's what they are. I love this here that he kind of met me when I went in. I absolutely love that. I've been making a habit of leaving him in there for a few minutes before I work him. As I said in my last video, I believe his last trainer just kind of threw him in here and automatically worked him. So I like to put him in here for a little bit by himself first. I left a little bit of the round pinning in so that you guys can kind of see a change. Like you see here, I just pointed off and he's going his own speed. At this point in time, I'm not worried about controlling his speed unless he gives me his butt or unless I want him to canter. At this point in time, I cannot slow down his speed. He gets way too worked up in here, so that's why you see me put him on the line and control speed there. You can see that's twice there he gave me his butt, and that's why I added more pressure. So I'm going to add more pressure, kind of keep him going, really get after him so that he understands to pay attention to me. What happens when I pay attention? There, that's what happens when I pay attention. If I face up and pay attention, there's no extra pressure, besides maybe a little bit to get him actually moving. God, I love this horse. He's so pretty. So normally it only takes a few times of kind of getting after him and he understands he's supposed to turn in. But look at the change here. He is slowed down. He's checking in on me. He's got his inside ear on me. He's keeping his pace. Right there, he kind of changed on his own. So I just correct him. Tell him, nope, that's not okay. Some horses are going to do that. They're going to test you. But I love this here. I'm able to step back and he goes right across. But he's keeping a nice trot. He's not just cantering around and working himself to death. Love that there, that I'm able just to kind of turn and look at his butt and he stops. And then I love this here. Then he decided he will join me in the center. God, this horse picks up on things so fast. But he's also terribly spooky. So we're going around here, and right there you can see spooks. That's because of the bags on the ground. And he's like, wait a minute, you want me to go buy those? So he kind of kept coming off the rail into me. So I just worked him until he was able to go around the pin on the fence line calmly without overreacting. So here we're doing a little bit of backing. His owner says he likes to back up really fast. So I'm just kind of practicing a few steps and really quiet, slow steps. And he actually has a really nice backup. I don't care if he goes sideways or anything like that, as long as he backs when I ask. So here I have him on the lunge line, and I absolutely love this. He actually started off at a walk, both directions, which he normally doesn't do. Right there, the bags are waving. And he didn't even pick up his pace. And I love that. Normally, the minute I hook him on the line, he does the same exact thing. Has round pinning and just kind of canters and just goes crazy out of his mind and doesn't want to slow down and pay attention to me. So here I'm trying to get him change direction. He's dragging through me because the bag's moving. I just keep up pressure till he goes. Now here he gets spooked because, again, the bags are on the ground behind him moving. So every time he kind of spooks and comes forward, I'm just going to pop the halter a little bit. I prefer him to go sideways if he's going to spook, not directly on top of me. So here we are doing the flag, and right there you see me tap on him. That's because if you've seen, he's walking in on top of me. He's side passing into me. I don't want that. Again, if he's going to spook, I want him moving away. Right there, he's trying to hold it in, and he actually does. I kind of like that because he's not dragging and overreacting. He's actually thinking. Right there, he goes to step in on me. I just tap him with the flag, say, hey, that's not okay. And I go back and desensitize, make sure he's not afraid of it. So here is the first time I'm asking him to move out while shaking the flag. And you can see he's really, really confused. That's perfectly fine. I'm just kind of looking for him to go around a little calm. You know, he's going to be a little wound up the first time. But just go around a circle and get some forward movement. So you see here, he's not getting forward. He's backing up. I'm just going to keep waving that flag. I want him to get used to it moving while he's moving, but I'm also looking for a full circle or a half circle, whichever he's willing to give, whichever I feel like he could give me in that moment. Sorry for the puppies. And that's how we end right there. He's kind of lowering his head and shaking. Here I'm just backing away and shaking it, making sure there's no striking in him. So here I have a hula hoop with some Walmart bags on it, and as you can see, this is what he was really spooking at when you see him standing earlier and then jumping, and then I kind of corrected him. And I'm actually really surprised because he was less afraid of this than he was the tarp. The tarp is a whole different story, and I worked it up slowly. I didn't just go out there and grab the tarp. I went out there with the flag first, this, and then the tarp. So I love this here, lowering his head. He's thinking. I did both sides, but he didn't react, so I didn't feel the need to share. So again, same thing here. I'm just wanting him to move out while I'm moving it and keep forward movement. Pay attention to what I'm asking. So here I'm just kind of upping the pressure, just kind of like I would if I was asking him to move off with the whip and he wasn't. I'm just going to add pressure until he goes. But then the pressure is also not going to stop. It's going to stop kind of going at him, but it's still going to be making noise to desensitize him while he's moving. So I'm just kind of tapping at his shoulder here saying, hey, let's go. So there he's going, but he's dragging. So I'm going to keep shaking, and there. The line's soft, and he's paying attention, but he's stalled, so I'm going to ask a little bit more. And then we're going to do this side. Now you can see this side, he's like, what the heck? He's kind of more reactive of things on this side, and it makes sense because this is his bolting side at the canter, which is kind of ironic due to later you will see that the other way is when he's dragging and bolting. So it's kind of interesting to work with him and see kind of how he thinks. Love that there. Nice low head, shaking his head, relieving some tension. I think this is the lowest I've gotten his head without me having to ask him for his head to go down. Again, sorry for the puppies. So here I have the tarp, and I made a mistake. I will admit that. So I'm plopping it here. I didn't want to rub him yet because, again, I don't know if he kicks. So I kind of want him to get used to it without me rubbing it on him first, with me just kind of throwing it up there. Now, the wind catches it here in a minute. And idiotic me, for some reason, thought because he's had a rider, maybe I'll just let it go and see what happens. And that's what happens. Not a big reaction, but I love that I'm able to kind of pop that halter and shut him right down. So I actually don't mind that it happened because it shows me that right there I could shut him down and he wasn't out of control. So here he's head high, but he's starting to think right there. The wind kind of picked it up. It was so freaking windy and so cold. But you know what? He's got to get used to it, so we will be doing the tarp every time until he's quiet like he was with the bags. Love this here. He's a little anxious, but he's not really too bad. He's not like, oh my god, it's going to eat me. He's having a couple moments where he's like, oh my god, it's coming at me, but that's fine. Like, I don't care where it flaps, where it touches. I want him to be able to handle it. Somebody falls off or some kid comes around, he's got to get used to it. Now, right there, I went to pull it off, and the wind picked it up again. That's fine. There we go. I love this. He's finally calming down. All I did was repetition. Just kept doing it. Now, I didn't do the tarp with him moving today. I just felt like that would be way too much for him. So I was able to throw it on his neck, shake it a little bit, and pull it off the other side. That was good enough for the tarp touching his body for today. But I did kind of ask him to lunge and shake it with me not having a hold of him, just to see how he would do if I asked him to stop. Is he able to? Is he not able to? Love there that he's licking and chewing. His ears are going back and forth. He's shaking his head. He's thinking. He's trying to come in. He's processing. And I love that. So this is about the most that I did with the moving. But we do set it on the ground here in a second. And yeah, here's where the interesting things really, really happen. I love that he's able to face up. So here, I'm just trying to send him between the tarp and I first. I'm not expecting him to go over it. There is like a 2-foot gap between the tarp and I. And I needed to put my phone somewhere safe that he wasn't going to run it over, because I figured what was going to happen is what happened. So I'm glad I put it on the outside of the fence where he couldn't run it over. So I'm just kind of looking for him to go through quietly. So here, I'm wanting him to show some interest. You can see all he's kind of wanting to do is run through, kind of kick up a little bit. And when I go to stop him, he braces against the halter, which I don't like. I want him to be soft. As you can see here, he's kind of pulling through, but I'm able to get him to go forward anyways. So I'm just looking at this point for him to kind of investigate it. But he's just kind of scooting through that gap, not wanting to go. Right here, he's dragging me. I'm cracking the whip on the other side of his eye. Finally able to get a hold of the rope and get him to change. And he did this a lot. I think he did this for like 15 minutes straight, where he would just drag out that one side, which is really interesting because it's the other side, as I said, that he normally drags. I haven't had an issue up until this day of him dragging this way. That's fine. We're going to find some holes and we're going to work through things. You can see he really doesn't like it. He's not even going over it at this point. He's still going through the gap. Now here, I'm kind of just barely lifting up the whip and adding pressure. I'm wanting him to investigate, and he's not really wanting to. But right here, I'm not even adding any pressure, and he went over on his own. You can see my hand's quiet. I'm not doing anything. He went over on his own. But he's still dragged on the other side. You see he's still going. I'm kind of popping that lead rope saying, hey, let's not go this way. I'm not asking to go that way. Finally able to kind of let him stand there and calm down. Now this side took a long time for him to go over. Again, look, you can see I'm pulling his nose, cracking the whip. It takes a lot to get him to stop dragging on this side. And this is his good side. I mean, yeah. I have to just, at some points, I just have to brace and hold until I can get him to stop. Because he's not at the point where I can pick up that halter and say, hey, let's calm down a little bit. And get his attention on me. We did do flexing, but I didn't film it. But he did do better. Again, here he goes with the dragging again. But I'm able to kind of, each time, I'm able to shut him down a little bit better. Now, I love this. This is the only side he actually showed interest. But when he tried to go around me in between the gap instead of over the tarp or show more interest, I just kind of popped the lead rope and said nope. And then he kind of figured out on this side, oh, I need to show some interest. So it took him a while, and he worked up a lot of a sweat. But you know what? He's got to learn, and it's teaching me things. You gotta love those big jumps over that tiny little bitty tarp. I think it's hilarious. I'm sorry, but it is. So that's kind of what we started off at. What we went to here, where he's just kind of trotting over it. He was biting it some. I don't care. He's 5 years old. He's allowed to bite it and play with it if he wants to. This side, he would not just walk over. He had to trot or jump. So we'll work on that. But here's kind of where we ended on it. I was able to just kind of point him, and he just walks us straight across on this side. Thanks for watching.